Okay. Can you hear me? Hang on a second. Let me make sure. Sometimes I screw up on the uh audio. Y'all know that. Y'all know how I roll. 1 second. Oops. Or if you're watching, I don't expect to have a lot of viewers. This is what happens when I go on last minute, nearly unannounced at midnight. Okay. Let me see. Dang it. All right, guys. Y'all just give me a 5x5 if you can hear me. I'm going to try one more time. But it was important to go on. I didn't expect, that I'll pull a lot of people at midnight. You never know, though. You never know. 1 second. Oh, okay. Audio is working. Hello, In. How are you? It's good to see you again. I wish it was on better terms. And if I'm shouting, let me know. I wish that we didn't have to go over a bullshit Attorney General opinion. The last one he issued was solid gold. The last opinion that Ken Paxton issued, well, not the very last one, but the 0411, solid gold. Now we're at 0422, and it's like genetics, like it skipped a generation. Like this next one is going to be garbage, okay? Hope you didn't expect anything good. Um so basically, in Texas every now and then we ask for an opinion from the attorney general. This is not a binding thing necessarily, but it's something that sort of helps to establish legislative intent. Like, oh, are they following the law here? We don't think they're following the law. Can you look at the laws and look at the situation and tell us if they're following the law? I'm sure it's similar in other states too. But we work the fuck out of Ken Paxton. Like, that dude has a whole stack of requests on his desk. The one that we're about to go over has been on his desk for like 2 years, roundabout. Hey, what's up? What's up, J2 Dank? How are you? All right, we're gonna go over this piece of absolute garbage. All right, can y'all see this? Oh, oops, hang on. I did that thing again. All right. So this is the latest ruling on election-related issues. Well, this is the ruling on the ballot numbering issue that we've been asking for Paxton to put out for a significant amount of time, and he's just kind of like left it off to the side. Hasn't done much with this until now. Okay, so we're gonna have to click on the PDF to get this open. All right, let me zoom in. All right. This is just absolutely ugh. And you know what, Hyder, if you're watching, I don't know if he's probably not up this late, but Hyder will see this later. He's probably just gonna sit there with his coffee grinder and his fresh Venezuelan coffee beans, laughing. Very frustrated. But he's gonna have a great day. And I would have done this earlier. In fact, I meant to do this earlier, but I got called into work. Which is strange because I'm not an on-call employee, but that happened. So it was worth it. It was worth it, though. All right. This stupid ass. All right. So, oh no, do I have to put my glasses back on? Ugh, shites. Let me figure this out. All right. Issued December 15th, which I guess was that Thursday? Yeah. I didn't catch it Thursday. I didn't even catch it at all. Someone else caught it. Oh, and the original request was from Hood County, so that's crazy that they finally got back to it. The Honorable Matthew A. Mills, Hood County Attorney, 1200 West Pearl, Granbury, opinion number KP0422, related to the procedure for numbering election ballots, which officials are authorized to select the method of numbering ballots. Okay, and we'll go over this in a little more detail. But we're going to just kind of power through this, and then I'm going to show you all the election codes. Okay, so you're going to see how wrong this really is. Okay. So let me just do this. Dear Mr. Mills, you ask several questions regarding a ballot numbering requirement in Section 52.062 of the Election Code to Hood County in light of the county's recent purchase of new voting equipment. Recent. Like, what's your idea of recent, Paxton? Background. Article 6, Section 4 of the Texas Constitution provides that in all elections by the people, the vote shall be by ballot, and the legislature shall provide for the numbering of tickets and make such other regulations as may be necessary to detect and punish fraud and preserve the purity of the ballot box. Okay? See also Wood versus State, explaining the word ticket in Article 6, Section 4 refers to a ballot. Consistent with the Constitution, the Election Code provides for voting by traditional paper ballots and by the use of alternative voting systems. The Election Code does not provide any guidance for numbering of ballots through the use of alternative voting systems. That's not true. That's nowhere in the Election Code. And if it was, you'd see it cited in here. But guess what? You won't see it cited in here because it's not. Ballots used in a Texas election must be 1. Numbered consecutively, beginning with the number 1, and 2. Numbered so that a specific range can be linked to a specific polling place, and 3. Distributed to voters non-sequentially in order to preserve ballot secrecy, right? Okay, so the way our laws are designed is the ballots will be prepared by being numbered consecutively, beginning with the number 1, right? They'll be sent out to polling locations, but to make sure that the voter and only the voter knows their ballot number, the judges will like put the ballots number side down on the table and like mix them up. And then the voter picks from the randomly mixed up ballot with the numbers on them. So nobody knows exactly which ballot you got. Okay. You explain that's how it's supposed to work. You explain that the county recently switched from electronic voting machines with no paper ballots, aside from mail in ballots. That's a DRE, direct recording electronic. There's no paper ballots. To a hybrid voting system whereby voters scan a paper ballot and votes are then registered electronically. Yeah. It's not a real ballot though. It's usually it's a PVR. Every now and then they do real ballots. Request letter at 1, with the new voting system in place, you raise specific questions about the application of Section 52.062, the section providing that the ballots prepared by each authority responsible for having the official ballot prepared shall be numbered consecutively beginning with the number 1. Permissible methods for numbering ballots. Your first question concerns the method by which a number is printed on the ballot. See request letter at 2. According to the materials you submit, the Texas Secretary of State's office, which is where the root of the problem is here, this is a big freaking issue. Texas Secretary of State's office instructed county election officials that they can achieve compliance with the numbering requirement of Section 52.062 by either ordering blank ballot stock with pre-printed numbers, which would be lawful, or specific to users of the Heart Verity TouchWriter ballot marking device or Verity Print ballot on demand system, having the machine print the ballot with a unique identifier. Appendix at 1 through 2. Let's see. See also request letter at 2. You also point us to an internal memorandum from the Secretary of State's office concluding that the Heart Verity 2.4 voting system meets the ballot numbering requirements of Section 52.062. It does not. Nonetheless, you question whether the statute's numbering requirement for nonetheless. Paxton, I swear to God, and I want both your eyes focused. I want Paxton, look me in the eye with both of your eyes, even the lazy one. Let me get your attention, sir. Nonetheless, you question whether the state's numbering requirements of Section 52 requirement for ballots prepared by each authority responsible for having the official ballot prepared can be satisfied solely by using pre-printed numbers on blank stock, ruling out the option of machine-generated number printing. Section 52.062 refers to ballots prepared by each authority responsible for having the official ballot prepared, but does not require the preparation authority to personally number the ballots or otherwise specify a particular method for making the numbers appear on the ballot. Yeah, it says that you need to prepare the ballots this way. We'll get to this. We'll get through this. Specifying the 52.062, specifying the authority identified for specified elections shall have the official ballot prepared. In Chapter 52, concerning ballot form, content, and preparation, the legislature expressly authorized the Secretary of State to prescribe the form and content of a ballot for an election using a voting system, including a voting system that uses direct recording electronic voting machines or ballot marking devices to conform to the formatting requirements of the system. This is absolute bullshit right here. This right here. Our state legislatures need to stop deferring their duty as constitutionally ordained in the election clause, Article 1, Section 4 of the National Constitution. It is the state legislature's job to decide all of this. They need to stop sending it over to the Secretary of State to determine how we're going to run our elections. That is unconstitutional. They do not have the authority to defer their duty. They swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, state and national. That includes the fucking election clause. They're supposed to, we elect them. Our SOS in Texas isn't even elected, it's an appointed position. And they're deferring the most crucial details, the auditability of our records, to an entity that is not allocated that authority constitutionally. It's not even like there's wiggle room. The legislature is the one who sets the time, places, and manner of elections. The legislature, and we elect them and we send them there to do a good job. But they defer their duty. Fuck all this. This is not right. This is how we get legislatures that don't understand jack shit about the elections because they're deferring their duty to the SOS typically. What you'll find in most states is they're deferring their duty to the SOS. This is what's bullshit about this, right? Let's see. And then it says it cites 52.075A and then 31.003, directing the SOS to provide detailed and comprehensive written directives and instructions to the appropriate local authorities. The Secretary of State's interpretation of the law as allowing machine-generated numbering of ballots does not contradict Section 52.062. Yes, it does, given that the wording of the statute neither requires nor rules out any particular method of printing numbers on a ballot. See Reynolds versus Dallas County. Oh, is that? I think I know what that is. No, it literally violates and contradicts 52.062 because that law, and you'll see what the intent of the legislature is when we look at subsequent laws related to the ballot numbering, that they meant for these ballots to be prepared by being numbered consecutively, beginning with the number 1. Let me make sure y'all understand. It is extremely difficult to insert fraudulent ballots when the ballots are pre-numbered, right? And the only people that know where these ballots have gone to are like the county election staff, right? And they'll say, okay, this precinct has ballots numbered 1 through 5,000 or whatever. Send it over there. Next one gets 5,001 through 10,000. But the county as a whole has ordered those ballots already pre-numbered, and they just divvy them up that way, right? And they'll decide last minute, probably like or maybe at the same time they decide where their machines are going, which locations will get which range of ballot numbers. Thus, a court could find that the machine generation method of numbering ballots, like the option of pre-printing numbers on blank ballot stock, complies with Section 52.062. Yeah, if you don't read any other election laws that are dependent on the numbering of the ballot, if you don't read any subsequent laws, yeah, you could probably, if you don't know what you're fucking talking about, then yeah. Authority to decide ballot numbering method. Your second question is whether the decision for selecting the ballot numbering method belongs solely to the elections administrator or whether the commissioner's court has a role to play. You explain that Hood County currently employs an elections administrator as authorized under Election Code 31.031. Which authorizes the commissioner's court to create the position of elections administrator. And 31.032A, providing that a county election commission made up of several county officials and others appoints the elections administrator. Among other duties, an elections administrator performs. Among other duties, an election administrator performs, quote, the duties and functions placed on the county clerk by the election code. So if your county in Texas doesn't have an election administrator, then it's the county clerk who's in charge of all of this. But if your county has created that position, then the county clerk no longer takes care of administering the elections. All of their duties related to elections are absorbed into this new position, the elections administrator. All right. So now they're saying, is that guy the only one that can decide this, or can commissioner's court influence that? Which of course they can, but watch and see what he says. Um, so for an election ordered by the governor or a county authority, the county clerk is the authority that shall have the official ballot prepared, except as otherwise provided by law. Thus, for such elections taking place in Hood County, the election administrator is the authority responsible for having the official ballot prepared because they have an elections administrator. Otherwise, it would be the county clerk, but their county has created that position. So that's the one who's in charge. Is the authority responsible for having the official ballot prepared, including selecting the ballot numbering method in accordance with section 52.062 and guidance from the secretary. Under the election code, the commissioner's court has the authority to adopt a particular voting system, naming the commissioner's court as a designated authority for certain elections. But ballot preparation is a separate duty. The statutes do not assign the commissioner's court ballot preparation or general ballot oversight responsibilities. Instead, the election code places the duty of having ballots prepared on the elections administrator. Further, unlike with other duties, the legislature directed the numbering of ballots, quote, by each authority responsible for having the official ballot prepared, without indicating the necessity of approval by others. There's the election commission and board. They also have a say. He totally left out the fact that there are other entities. The election commission and board also can say, you know what, I don't think that that's right. I mean, they literally hire and fire the election administrators, the election commission, and then there's a board created that the election administrator is the chair of. But other elected positions in the county are on that board, and they could easily say, you know what, I don't think this is what's best for us. I'm going to vote against that. But here he's like leaving all that out. He's like, nope, only the elections administrator can do it. Sorry. It says it doesn't indicate that anyone else needs to approve. Okay. What is it? What is it? Why don't you pull the election code related to the election commission and board, Paxton? Let's see. Directing the county clerk in an election ordered by the governor or a county authority to procure election supplies and determine the quantity of the various types of supplies to provide to polling places, subject to the approval of the county election board. Hello, hello. Because the statutes do not vest ballot preparation or supervisory authority in any other entity, the elections administrator has sole authority to select the numbering method. It just says right here. He literally contradicts himself in in almost one sentence. I'm going to reread that. 52 comparing 52.062 with 51.003 is that an L? Directing the county clerk in an election ordered by the governor or a county authority to procure election supplies and determine the quantity of the various types of supplies to provide to polling places, subject to the approval of the county election board. Let's pull those codes right now. Let's just go and pull those codes. 51.003. Okay, it's okay. I got it right here. 51.003. No, I want to see exactly what that says. Does it say? It's right here. Does it say? It says right here, subject to the approval of the county election board. That's not the sole, that is not the one person. The county election board is not one person. You fucking asshole, dude. So right here in one sentence he contradicts himself, saying that it's all subject to the approval of the county election board. He's okay. What he's saying is that it names pretty much everything but the preparation of the ballots. as being subject to the approval of the county election board. Man, he is splitting hairs so dangerously down to the atom. He's about to set off a freaking atom bomb over here if he keeps splitting hairs this fine. All right. Statutory directive that ballots begin with the number 1. Your last question concerns the statutory directive in section 52.062 that ballots be numbered consecutively beginning with the number 1. That is what it says. But watch Ken Paxton talk himself out of following the law. Paxton, I swear to God, you are such a dork sometimes. Let's see. That ballots be numbered consecutively beginning with the number 1. Your question prompted by Election Advisory 2019-23 issued by the Secretary of State to all election officials on October 23, 2019 concerning procedures for electronic voting systems. Subsection 13.1 of the advisory addresses several ballot numbering provisions of the election code. Let's see. Yeah, we did get ripped off. Curtis Cross, we got ripped off. This kind of shit is exactly why we endorsed Gomer in the primaries over Paxton. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see. Including section 52.062 as they apply to jurisdictions using ballot marking devices. See advisory, 13. Yeah. In the section about which you inquire relating to the use of blank ballot stock with pre-printed numbers or a hand numbering machine to number blank ballot stock, the Secretary of State has authorized the following modified numbering procedure pursuant to 52.075 of the Election Code, which says that he can do this. The jurisdiction can pre-number ballots and split them into batches for each election, with each batch beginning with a number that ends in the number 1. So just the opposite. Just make it, just advise it. Just the opposite. Right? Those batches must be no smaller than units of 100, though a jurisdiction could batch in larger units if needed. 1,000, 10,000, etc. This is not good. Okay? He's literally authorizing the opposite of what the law says. This is so frustrating. Like, this is why, like, getting, stress. Example, for the November election, listen to this shit. Okay, I need to calm down. For the November election, the jurisdiction could use ballots 1 through 1500. And for the May election, that jurisdiction could then use ballots 1501 through 2400. And for the following November election, the jurisdiction could use ballots 2401 through 4200, etc. No. No. How easy would that be? This is a way for them to know exactly where these ballots are going to be and which ballots they could be inserting. No, it needs to be the SOS does not have this authority to do this. I don't care that the legislature says that they should prescribe the methods. The methods should adhere to existing state statute. They shouldn't go fucking ham on them. To use this batching method, the jurisdiction will need to track which batches are assigned to each election through a master log that identifies the range of ballots that were used for each election. The jurisdiction must then track which ballots from that election's particular range are distributed to each polling place through the normal procedures. No. No. So we tell you no, that makes it even easier. See, this is what I'm talking about. When the ballots are pre-numbered, it's very, and they're being sent, and in different locations, and you never know which location is going to have which range of pre-numbered ballots. Very difficult to insert fraudulent ballots. Well, guess what? If they can get around that if they know which locations are going to be using which range of ballot numbers for every fucking election cycle. No. This master log of where these ballots are going to be, that should be created when they assign the ballots to the locations, which should be done just prior to the election. No handing out the fucking game plan. Let's see. Advisory 13.1, emphasis I added, you question whether jurisdictions may conduct subsequent elections with ballot numbers starting higher than 1, or whether ballots should begin with the number 1 for each election to comply with section 52.062. This is not that hard, guys. The counties are administering the elections. Sometimes it's the municipalities, right, for municipal elections. But typically what we're seeing most often is the municipalities are contracting with the county to administer even the municipal elections. All right? So when the counties are still administering the elections, they're the ones that are responsible for having the ballot prepared. So they order the range of ballots that we need. Okay? And yeah, Hydra's got one pretty good point, is that the blank ballot stock saves money, but it also really screws up the auditability of records in the way that we traditionally audit. I really don't care that much. Like, GK Manias can do with a salary cut. Okay? Our county administrator makes almost $400,000 a year. Fuck that. Cut his salary and get us the regular ballots. Let's see. For whether the ballot should begin with the number 1 for each election. Well, to comply with 52.062. Well, that's what the law fucking says, you know. But let's see what AG Paxton and SOS shadow man Keith Ingram suggest. Article 6, Section 4 of the Texas Constitution requires the legislature to provide for the numbering of ballots. The legislature has done so through Subchapter C, Form of Ballot of Election Code, Chapter 52, Ballot Form, Content, Preparation. Within Subchapter C, Section 52.062 expressly requires the ballots to be numbered consecutively beginning with the number 1. For an election using a voting system, including a voting system that uses direct recording electronic voting machines or ballot marking devices. Section 52.075, also in Subchapter C, authorizes the Secretary of State to prescribe the form of a ballot to conform to the formatting requirements of the system. That's the formatting requirements of the system. Paxton, again, I need both your eyes trained on me, okay? Come on. The formatting requirements of the system. The formatting requirements of the law may not be congruent with the formatting requirements of the system. In fact, I think they're two separate concepts altogether. Jesus Herbert Walker Christ. Thus, the legislature designated the numbering of a ballot as part of its form and provided a general rule as well as an alternate avenue through the Secretary of State for an election using a voting system. That's bullshit. They don't have the right. They do not have the ability to defer their duty to an entity, especially not to the executive branch. They can't. This is the legislature. This is the legislature of each state. That's the legislative branch. Okay, they cannot defer their authority to the executive branch or to the judicial branch. What the actual fuck is going on? We're gonna have this argument. If we need to have it in the Supreme Court over and over and over until we get this right, because the Constitution stands. Here, the modified ballot numbering procedure in the advisory states that if batching is utilized, each ballot batch for a subsequent election must begin with a number that ends in the number 1. That's the exact opposite of what the law says. The opposite. Advisory 13.1 in subsection 13.1. It's advisory 2019-23, section 13.1. Emphasis added. Whether numbering each split ballot batch for subsequent elections with a number that ends in 1 is necessary to conform to the formatting requirements of the voting system is an inquiry that involves fact questions, which is beyond the scope of an attorney general opinion. Shocker. The attorney general doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Accordingly, we cannot answer as a matter of law whether a jurisdiction may number split ballot batches for subsequent elections as proposed in the advisory, but the language of section 52.075 makes it clear that there must be a connection between any ballot form or content modification and the formatting requirements of the voting system. I don't think it is that clear. I think that he's just saying that no. 52.075 says that the SOS can prescribe the methods and procedures to make this ballot that needs to be formatted for that computerized voting system adhere with the law. The formatting requirements for the system and the formatting requirements for the law, okay, are two different things. And the system needs to comply with the law. All right, the law doesn't need to change to make the system happy. The system needs to follow the fucking law. This is absolute garbage. And here's a summary. Here's the you know, the turd on top of this shit sandwich. Section 52.062 of the Election Code provides that the ballots prepared by each authority responsible for having the official ballot prepared shall be numbered consecutively, beginning with the number 1. A court could find that the machine generation method of numbering ballots complies with Section 52.062. We'll go over why that's not the case. Hood County Elections Administrator selects the ballot numbering method for certain elections, while the Commissioner's Court selects the voting system. That's also bullshit. He totally leaves out the fact that the election board is an entity and has some say so. And finally, we cannot answer as a matter of law whether a jurisdiction using a voting system for an election may number split ballot batches in certain instances as proposed by the SOS in Advisory 2019-23 because it is a fact question beyond the scope of an Attorney General opinion. But pursuant to 52.075 of the Election Code, there must be a connection between any ballot form or content modifications such as the one set forth in the advisory and the formatting requirements of the voting system. Very truly yours, Ken Paxton. And this is why we endorsed Gohmert in the primaries over Ken Paxton. So we've gone over this section several times, 52.062. This is the whole of the law right here. Numbering of ballots. The ballots prepared by each authority responsible for having the official ballot prepared shall be numbered consecutively, beginning with the number 1. That's it. That's the whole thing. Okay? I'm going to show you a subsequent election code, which is dependent on the ballots being numbered according to the law. Okay? Guess what? This is Texas Election Code 62.009, disarranging ballots for voters' selection. Now, this is based on the ballots being numbered consecutively, beginning with the number 1. Oh, I'm sorry. This is based on the ballots being prepared by being numbered consecutively, beginning with the number 1, according to the actual law. 62.009, disarranging ballots for voter selection. A. As needed for voting, an election officer shall disarrange a supply of the ballots so that they are in random numerical order. The disarranged ballot shall be placed face down on a table in a manner preventing an election officer or other person from ascertaining the number of a ballot selected by a voter. The provisional ballots shall be placed separately from the regular ballots. That last part's part of it, so I read it. Okay? So it states right here, okay, that this is how you need to handle the ballots at the polling locations. You got to put them all number side down on the table, and you just mix them up. You just mix them up, right? This is so that the voter and only the voter knows their ballot number. This is why we do this. What you'll see now is in the polling locations, the judges will put blank, non-numbered ballots down on the table, and they will mix them up. But there's no reason to mix them up because they're not pre-numbered. And I've asked the judges, I say, why are you mixing the ballots up? She was like, well, that's the law. We have to. That's what the law says. I told her, well, that's based on the numbers being prepared according to the law. But when the ballots being prepared according to law, when the ballots are not prepared according to the law, I don't see why you're following. I mean, what other laws can we just not follow? Right? This is dependent on those ballots being pre-numbered consecutively, beginning with the number 1. What's happening now is the machines are adding a number to the ballot after the voter makes their selection, right? Supposedly not able to be tracked back to the actual voter, all right? So this Attorney General ruling, KP 0422, total garbage. I was excited to read it. I don't know why. I don't know why I let myself think, oh, here we go. He's going to do another good one. I feel like in the last one, he just kind of like threw us a bone. Like, here you go. You should have access to the records. Good luck. Good luck, because they're going to challenge all of your requests anyway. Because he knew he was going to put the fuck on us with this ballot numbering issue, which is a big deal. And notice, the only citation that they provided for the alternative numbering of the ballots was that the SOS can decide how we're going to do some things. They didn't actually give the SOS the authority to change the ballot numbering requirements. They only gave him the authority to advise on how to prepare the ballots to fit the system formatting requirements for the voting system, not for the fucking law. feel like I'm taking crazy pills sometimes. Duppy, can you confirm that these machines use floating point numbers rather than integers? I'm not sure I know what you mean by floating point numbers. At a certain point, they were using what looked like a hexadecimal numbering system, but I believe that they've abandoned that now. So what Hyder says is that these machines are that like the numbers of the ballot can be tied back to the controllers because we've got the Heart Verity system, right? So they can be tied back to the controllers, and that each batch of ballots, the first two um, digits on the that's part of the number is the number for that controller. But and then after that, he's the numbers are somewhat sequential, but not quite like it. Yeah, it's I think it's some sort of an algorithm. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. It totally it's not lawful at all. And the fact that this is the issue is that our legislature has deferred their authority so they don't understand what the SOS has been authorizing. Our legislature and our commissioners court need to understand these voting systems thoroughly, like inside and out, and they don't because they're not computer majors. And I don't think that casting a ballot should require you to be a computer major to understand it. We should be able to explain to our children. It should be that simple of a process. It should be that simple, that perfect, and that secure of a process. By George, any system that does anything more than straight tabulations was built to well, we got to be careful with the tabulations, the term tabulations too, right? Because our laws, a boneless chicken, only refer to counting. They don't say tabulation in very many areas of our law. So tabulation should come like after the counting. You know what I mean? So then they can put it into a table, right? Because if you look it up, what is the definition of tabulation? We can look it up. We can look it up real quick. Because I did this actually. Looked up the definition of tabulation. Let's do this. Okay. This is a semantics argument, and they want to play semantics. Okay. The truth's still on our side. Tabulation, the act or processing of making a tabular arrangement, formation onto a table or tables, exhibition in tabular form as of statistics, numbers, and names, also tabling. We'll go meanings, synonyms, stuff like that. Okay. To tabulate information is to organize it into a table. If your friend borrows money from you every week, you might want to tabulate what she owes you. Right? So that would just be writing it down, right? Recording it somewhere in a table in a table format. Tabulating is a way of processing information or data, putting it into a table. This doesn't mean the kind of table you eat off of, though. Wow, guys, just in case you were synonyms, table, tabularize, arrange, set. Nowhere in here, deposit, unite, chart, publish. Nowhere in here does it mean the same thing as counting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a little semantics game, right? So that's what I wanted to say. And I would have come on earlier and done this, but like I said, I got called into work. One of my homegirls at work was like, can you work for me? And I was like, yes. So yeah, the ballots, they do have to be pre-numbered though, and we've proposed this bit of legislation to change this. It's a simple thing, and it's sometimes the more simple, the more perfect. A concept, right? So sometimes the more simple, the more secure something can be. So we've proposed this little bit of legislation to um, clarify exactly what 52.062 means based on subsequent election codes that are dependent on the ballots being numbered according to the law, and also to bind the Secretary of State to the will of the legislature. Pretty much, we may even need a whole new election. We may even need a whole new provision. I don't even know where this is going to have to be a constitutional amendment that the any duties allocated to a specific branch of the government at the state level, that branch cannot defer their duty to another entity. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. I'm sorry. I had some allergies. I was sneezing like crazy earlier today. So, that's all I have to say. Sorry it wasn't on a more positive note. I do have some positive things to report. Should I share them now? No, I'll go live another day. Maybe Monday morning early. Maybe. Maybe then I'll go live. Talk about some positive things. Yeah. I agree. It's like yeah, it's like exactly. It's like kicking the can down the road. Say, "Oh, no. No. No." But that's why you have actual legislators not knowing what the hell is happening with the elections because they didn't decide on it. They didn't they deferred their fucking authority. So, Hyder's not in jail. No. No, Hyder's not been charged with a crime. You know what? Somebody said something weird to me the other day, and I don't think it's true. Let me see. Let me see. Let's see. Someone told me that someone told me they thought Hyder resigned. I was like, I find that unlikely. Then again, I have not received a message back from him on something I asked him about, but I was being snarky, so he probably won't respond. I'm being a little bit snarky. So, is it 7 days to Christmas? Okay, there's a positive thing I'm ready to report right now. 7 days. You see my Christmas tree? Hang on. Where is it? It's over there. It's over there. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to I'm going to log off, I guess. I just wanted to go over that. Garbage. Yeah. I can't get everything right, I guess. Yep. Y'all have a really good Christmas week, okay? And if there's anything, you know, there's some things I can't report on yet. Eventually, one day, I'll be able to report. Okay. All right, you guys. There was something else I was going to say, but I don't remember what it is at this point in time. I can't recall. I got it. Yeah. My friend gave me this. Thank you for noticing that. Hyder's, Terrence turned pretty far blue with the, after the changes that he's made. So it's weird. Okay, I'm just saying. It's weird. So, yep, thanks for noticing my new headset. My friend gave this to me. He upgraded his this is a gaming headset, he said. He was like, "And I don't use these anymore." And since people were complaining about your audio because you're using I was using my cell phone, he was like, "Here, just have this until you can get like a microphone or something." So, and I like them, even though I have earrings, and I always forget to take out my earrings. You know, so it's not like the most comfortable thing, but this is a lot better than it was before. So thank you for noticing those. Y'all have a really great night, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas. I may go live once more to give updates about some other stuff. Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye.